สวัสดีจ้าพอกันอีกแล้วเนาะมื้อนี้เฮาสิพามาศูนย์ฝึกนกล่าเหยื่อเนาะจ้านกล่าเหยื่อก็สิมีพวกนกเจียวนกฮูกนกเขาแมวนกแสกแล้วก็อีกหลายชนิดค่ะที่เฮาบ่ได้กล่าวถึงเนาะจ้าเนาะนกพวกนี้เขาก็สิกินพวกสัตว์เนาะจ้าพวกศัตรูพืชแล้วก็ช่วยให้ระบบนิเวศสมดุลเนาะจ้าเนาะเป็นนกพวกนกนักล่าจังซี่จ้าตามไปชมกันเลยจ้า
Alright, Chip is a falcon, right? He is a Lana falcon. Now the Lana falcons are not nearly as fast as your peregrines, right? Peregrines are the fastest animals on the planet, clocked recently in the US at just over 240 miles an hour in full stoop. Alright, so 240 miles an hour is faster than what's called terminal velocity. So in the lower part of our planet here, in the lower part of our, I hate to lose words. All right, the lower part of our air. All right, we fall. Gravity will only suck you at about 30 feet per second. All right, so if you drop a child and they fall 30 feet, all right, out of an aeroplane, all right, and they fall further than 30 feet. They are then traveling at approximately 30 feet per second. That's the fastest gravity will suck you. It's a lot slower than 240 miles an hour. The way they achieve this speed is by propelling themselves downwards. What they'll do is they'll see their prey, they'll go upwind, and then propel themselves downwards. All right? In this situation where we're working with them here, they're a lot slower. And the reason for it is they don't work in the same way. When we're training these guys for displays, we're wanting a bird that comes in and turns and ducks and dives. Okay? He turns and ducks and dives. In the wild, they take one or two passes at their prey. And then, what you guys looking up at? Yeah. So like I say, all right, in the wild, they take one or two passes at their prey and then use the wind and the thermals to gain height again. So this turning and ducking and diving is a lot harder on them. It takes a while to develop their muscles like this. But Chip is a lovely bird. He's got a great nature usually, not always. Right, depends what mood he's in. Okay, like all birds, they're very temperamental, as we know, gentlemen. Okay. All right. So on his head we had a hood. Right, the word hood is one of the 32 words and expressions in the English language. It comes from falconry. Hood. All right. It's to keep him calm and relaxed. It's like blinkers on a horse. Or you know when your kid's misbehaving, you put a plastic bag over their head. Right, some have holes in them, others don't. Depends if it's Tesco or Asda. Right, bag for life. Okay. I'm just joking, sort of. Okay, I get some looks from the parents thinking that's a good idea, actually. Okay, no. It's just to keep him calm and relaxed. Okay? So while I'm flying him, I'm going to walk away from you. I don't want him flying into you. It's not you I'm worried about, it's him. All right? Also, John, the owner of the centre, is pretty touchy about the insurance. So we have to work around that. Okay? So, where the wind is blowing today is quite good. It's blowing uphill and against the trees. There are bits and pieces of that can create problems with. Right, but you can work around with this guy. He's very, very sneaky with the lure, this chap. Right, there's a whole lot of things we have to watch out with. Fantastic wee bird though.
It almost hit me. Yeah.
Like I say, we don't want to fly.
Yeah. But right across the
It's always nice to have a good
I
finish.
don't want to hit right there. And just let it went past the deal.
Come on! Okay. So, he's a wee superstar, this bird, sometimes, but he's very, very clever. Very good at catching you unawares with the lure there. Got to be so careful. All right, so another word that comes from falconry is stoop. That term stoop so low, right? But the word stoop comes from falconry. When he's coming down, it's called stooping. They don't, like I said, they don't just close their wings when they're coming in, as you'd have been watching. They propel themselves downwards. Delicious. Okay. So we feed our birds on chicks. We get them in frozen packs of 200, 250 from egg farmers. Egg farmers bump cockerels off as they pop out. It's a very short-lived experience being a cockerel in the egg business. Not a good career choice, kids. Again, some parents might disagree. Okay. Chicks are also born with yolk in them. We have to chop the yolk out of the chicks. We have to chop the yolk because it makes an awful mess. It's their sustenance for the first few days. And there's a famous takeaway place. I'm not saying which one for legal reasons. But I'm pretty sure they put the whole lot of fluff and everything through the blender to make their famous burgers. All right. Right, not saying for legal reasons, okay. Delicious. So that lure, the word lure comes from falconry, so I'm luring him in. If we were to be training him for hunting, what we would do is we'd tie the wings of whatever we wanted him to hunt onto the lure. We wouldn't be doing this ducking and diving and passing. What we would do is we get him up and waiting on, and once he's above us, we give him the lure straight away. So he knows that when he's up there, that's when he's going to get his food. Then you go along and you flush the prey up and down he comes. In theory. Okay. It's not quite that simple. Right? There are always a lot of mistakes to be made. Alright. And like I say, swearing started with falconry. Right? Bird puts his talon through your hand, you say, oh my, oh blast, oh fiddlesticks. Fine country bird. Okay. So swearing started with falconry. The most difficult part of this profession is not to swear in front of the public. That looks delicious, boy. I think I'm eating McDonald's. Sorry, I think I'm eating takeaways tonight.
Get another one.
So once he's finished with the food on the lure there, he's doing what they'll do in the wild, eat as much as they can, as quickly as they can. One reason, because if they're on the ground, they are food to something else. The other reason is they want to get up and out of the way. Okay, they don't want anybody else eating it. Now, the peregrines, all right, they're the fastest animal, like I say, on the planet. But their number one killer is goldies, golden eagles. What will happen is the peregrines, it takes them a while to gain that height, like all falcons. Their wings are not designed for lift, they're designed for cutting through the air. So cities are great for them because there's always an updraft against some building or another. Also, the thermals, the heat of the city will give them lift. But it takes them a while to gain that height. So once they're down below the Goldie, right, and they've slowed right down, that's a breakfast at Tiffany. Right? Nature takes no prisoners. And the reason the peregrines are most successful of all the falcons, most widespread of all the falcons, the reason the peregrines do so well is because they're versatile. Right? They will work. You'll have the ones that live in the cities. You'll have some that live on the coast. For example, we have a pair that comes and nests inland at the quarry here each year. The reason they do that is because although they're out on the coast, there's plenty of food there. Once their youngsters are beyond a certain age, they both have to be out hunting for them, and a black-backed gull will come along and say, "Thank you very much." All right? So that's the reason they come in. They nest on the quarry, and as soon as their youngsters are able to fly, they head back out for the coast. There's always food on the coast, but they will only take, obviously out over the sea, they're only going to catch what they're able to carry with them. Same as over the cities, they're only going to catch something they're able to carry with them. And they can't be on the ground or in the water. Further inland, you will get the four main types, four main species or subspecies, depending how you want to call it. Some scientists will say one, some scientists will say the other, peculiar creatures scientists. Do we have any of them here today? I don't want to be used for any nasty experiments, but yeah, some will argue that they're different species, different subspecies. But the ones that live inland, they are quite often will take, if there are no goldies in that area, right, they will take stuff that's larger than them. What they'll do is they'll stoop, they'll give it a hiding on the way past, and then if their prey is not quite dead, they will simply terminate it with their bite. They have an incredibly strong bite, falcons. Behind the tip of the main top mandible is a tooth-like effect. Also, their beaks are wider at the back and slightly flatter for leverage, and with that they're able to kill their prey just with a quick tweak of the neck. So they have an incredibly strong bite. Remember what I said about swearing in falconry? Okay, these are one of the super duper stars for that, to encourage four-letter words to come out. So, now one of the trust things, all right, is to clean the beak for him. And if there's any food that comes off his glove, he'll eat it, off his beak, he will eat it. All right, and that's to do with trust. Little things that make a big difference. However, the lady who trained him, all right, didn't put the hood on properly. All right, so he can be a bit of a pain in the bottom. Okay, apart from other parts of the body, but yes. Okay. Are you going to be good today, or are you going to be a bum egg? No. Here we are. Almost. We'll try and see if I can just take him in like that. Okay, so different birds, like I say, different quirks. And training, right at the very beginning of the training, there are a lot of different things you can't take a chance with. Okay, he's getting his feathers back in line. So questions, ladies and gentlemen, before we get up next time. I don't like a quiet audience, sign of criminal mind. I see a few of them here.
I will the bird.
Wild birds round about when they're flying.
Sorry?
So they go for the wild birds when they're flying.
No. Remember I say very few have the aptitude to be used for flying displays. So, remember I was saying about their birds, their weight coming down slowly, right? We reduce the amount of food they have, their weight drops slowly. After a certain amount of time, the weight drops off really quickly. And it's on that curve you're flying the bird. One that's easier going, you'll fly up here. One that's a pain in the neck, you'll fly a wee bit lower. However, once the ones you're flying the wee bit lower, they have a stronger appetite, and they will start chasing things. So the birds we're using for displays, the ones we can fly up higher. Doesn't mean we don't get occasionally get a chase, but the problem with that is We don't want birds grabbing stuff. One, some people are a bit touchy about it, but also coming on in, the bird goes and grabs something over there, we say, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, and off we go to get the birds. Okay, so it's not practical for that reason. So you train different birds for different purposes. Right, boy? I'll go and pop him down and we get our next bird.
You'll find in the UK, but it's probably the one you're most likely to see. The most numerous owls, the tawny owls, the sort of slightly larger, browner bird. There's more of them, but they're more of a woodland bird, a bit more secretive. These guys hunt over much more open ground, so you're just a bit more likely to see them than the other tawny owl. Does anyone want to come up and hold him?
You want to hold it?
We'll start down at this end.
scared.
I've got 2 gloves. I've got another glove over here if you want to come on. That's left-handed. It doesn't take much persuasion. I'll just give him a little bit of food first and then. You done? Come on. Yeah. Look on the other hand.
He listens to you, Miriam.
Yeah, these guys are quite active hunters as far as owls go. These hunters are quite open ground. When they're hunting, they're flying back and forth across their hunting ground. Most of their diet's mice and voles. Hunt over sort of open ground, so riverbanks, hedgerows, sides of fields, things like that. Anyone else want to come up over here? Yeah. Someone else want to come up and hold them?
This one.
Get parent reared, so we'll leave them in the pen with their parents until they're 3 or 4 months old, sort of when they'd be leaving the nest in the wild. Once they get to that stage, we start training them. For the owls, if you let them get parent reared like that, they're very difficult to work with, not particularly friendly and quite temperamental, so especially have them working with us like this, we've got to hand feed them from the day they hatch, imprint them on humans, make them see us as their parents, us as the same members of the species as they are. Want to come up and hold them? The other reason as well is owls, they can't see particularly well close up. They have what we call fixed eye sockets, so the eye's not spherical like ours, it's larger at the back than it is at the front. It's shaped a bit like a bell. It's got a really large retina, so it can gather a lot of light in at night time, give themselves a really good night vision. The downside of that is they can't rotate them in their sockets like we can. So if something comes up close to his face, you know, if we did that, we'd cross our eyes and keep focused on it. He can't do that. So if you were a mouse or a bull and you heard him coming in the last second, moved out of the way, you'd have no way to see where that's gone. Also, if I put a bit of food on the glove, he probably wouldn't be able to find it. But no, so he's relying on his prey being completely stationary when he catches it. Come on in. want to go for this end? Other hat. Facing this way. Someone else want to come up and gather all the sound into his ears? They're in the same place roughly as ours, just at the side of his head. But unlike us, they're not symmetrical, so 1 point's forwards, 1 point's down. They get any further north than this, it gets a bit too cold for them. Being smaller, they've got a faster metabolism, need a bit more energy to stay warm than a larger bird would. If we have snow on the ground for a few weeks at a time, the mice and the voles, they're just trying to wait out there, burrowing under the ground, trying to, not quite hibernating, but just sleeping through it. Or they're running around underneath the snow, tumbling through that. These guys just aren't big enough and powerful enough to actually reach through that and catch them. So this is Tweed the Harris hawk. Tweed? No, he's not. This is Zeus. Yeah, I think so. Not flown Zeus for a minute, so it's first time having him out for a while. So no, this isn't a native species to the UK. This is an American species of bird. Native to the deserts of southern United States, Central and Southern America. Does anyone want to come up and hold her?
Maybe I won't.
He's coming back. That's how it works with these guys. They're not coming back to me out of loyalty or respect or anything like that. Purely to get food from me. No, not really. I mean, it wouldn't drag the nose, just fly away. They don't enjoy it. Because these are parent reared. They're not used to being touched and handled particularly.
Has got wings.
So each of the birds we fly all have flying weights. So we weigh them every day before we take them out. Their weights directly linked to their appetite. Someone else want to cut up and hold them? Track of their weight every day. How far they fly, how quickly their each individual birds fly. Like they're all different. Over there. All birds have got different personalities. Some need a lot less motivation than others to fly. But through the season it changes as well. As they build up muscle and they get fitter, that will increase their weight because muscle weighs more than fat. And they get to know you better, so they don't need as much motivation to fly for you. They don't need as much persuasion. They know you're not going to steal their food or anything like that. Yeah, so differently from our native birds of prey, these guys hunt in groups all year round. Come on then. They're hunting in groups of between 4 and 5 birds mostly. Come on then.